go in with, I want physical healing. You just open up and he reveals more to you than you ever thought possible. So yeah, it might be a little nerve-wracking at first, but as soon as you enter with prayer ministers, but also enter into the presence of the Holy Spirit, all bets are off and your nerves are gone and you are just thankful to be there. And I was anticipating healing and he gave me so much more. So register, yeah, reach out.
Great question.
And it is a beautiful, sacred space, but what's so enlightening very quickly as you enter is how safe it is. And that's what I think many ministries miss, frankly. But it is a very safe place, and you experience that very quickly. That allows you to then go into that time of relief, release, and just being in the presence of Jesus. It's beautiful.
I wanted to say one thing too, that when you go, the whole time is it's focused on you. It's all for you. So we don't sit there and say, oh, I can tell you I have the same experience because we pray this differently. And because we want you to have full benefits of it.
And
Another question.
if you're nervous, tell the prayer ministers that you're nervous. And we're gonna pray into that.
Right, because
And
that's
that could be a
Oh,
block to
that's
healing, or
right.
that could be from the enemy. So tell them everything that you're feeling.
Another question.
How do you learn to be a prayer minister?
How do you learn to be a prayer minister? Sandy, go for it. How did you learn to be a prayer minister?
Well, I learned to be a prayer minister because we Listen, Love, Pray has classes, right? I started years ago and we had classes and we learned about how to pray, right? I didn't really know how to pray. I was scared to pray in public, right? I thought that I had to say certain things. No, you don't. God will guide you and tell you what to do. And really, Nancy just said this a second ago. You might wonder, like, what happens when you pray for someone? You listen, you love them with the love of Jesus, and you just pray. You just open up. I was telling someone earlier today, someone at Listen, Love, Pray told me that God gave you 2 ears for a purpose, right? One of those is to listen to the person that you're praying with, and the other is to listen for God. What is God saying? And we try not to make a move without God, right? So sometimes there may be something that comes through our minds, but we may not say it, right? If God doesn't intend for us to say it, then we would not.
How would you know the difference?
Oh, hold on. Roxy, would you please switch spots with me? Roxy, how do you know the difference? That's a great question.
That's a great question.
You might have to stand
Here, you sit in here.
All right, so how do I know the difference? Well, I ask him, and I make sure. Does it go along with what I know from his word? Does it go along with what we were praying, right? Is it, yeah, and that's how I know.
And it's interesting that it's a great question, and I am blessed to be a part of the recovery ministry where Lucinda and team started years ago, and now LLP has expanded into many of the recovery homes for men and women in the area, and I'm blessed to be able to be a part and share the healing love with them. And it's interesting because just a couple weeks ago, in the process of praying, for an individual in one of those homes, I could sense it, I could feel it, the enemy trying to attack and block my prayer, because I knew it, because I lost that connectivity with spirit, and I started to have that fear, and I just said quietly to myself, said, not today, go to the cross, Jesus, deal with it, and brought me back. And that was connected to a young lady who was sharing her heart, and it connected to my heart. And two, it's being able to, again, operate in a space of trust and just sensing and listening. So in that time period, my prayer, it was allowing Holy Spirit to just take over, and the silence ended up being what was necessary at that moment.
Judy, you want to talk about our like new protocol, kind of sort of mentoring and
Oh yeah, we do have a new protocol that we've put into place. If you have interest, you would want to talk to me, talk to Lucinda, really talk to any of us. We'll then schedule a time, talk with you. Always the first step after we feel, that let's go forward, everybody's on board. It's your own healing prayer session. And then after that healing prayer session, you're mentored. You'll be paired with someone. We talk about 2 prayer volunteers and 1 recipient. Sometimes there'll be 3 chairs there. And that's the person that's being mentored in that 3rd chair. So there's a whole process, And, is it Allie? Alyssa, sorry. When you said that about something about the fear, right? Yeah. I remember I was in the same church where Lucinda was, and she came back on fire after this big healing conference, and I was like, and she kept saying, don't you want to come to the class? Don't you want to come to the class? Took me a year. Finally took it, and I know, because I look in that book, I wrote the words really, question mark, underline, like different places within that book, in that workbook, because I had my own blocks going on in my head and in my heart. So it just came from the gentleness of those around me. And the best thing about praying for others, you don't have to fix them. I don't have to give them their solution. I don't have to take on their burden and I don't have to. It's not me, it's all Jesus. And when that sinks into my head, it's like, oh, I really don't have to do much other than follow. So that's pretty cool.
so you see 2 men there. Want to ask them any questions? We aren't just a women's ministry. Want to ask them any questions?
You never said anything about Q&A.
And ask them
Us either. We've got a hand in the front row.
Walk the runway. What would be your advice for me to introduce my husband to this experience? Because he always says, why do women always get the good stuff? He's been part of men's group and men's tables and Celebrate Recovery, but this is just something different. And I would love for him to experience this, but I feel like he will be resistant at first.
Yeah, so I mean, my only advice would be share your story, tell your story, and what you experience, and he might say, hey, you know what, I want some of that too.
And there are 2 programs that he could attend, the conference in June, and we also do a men's program twice a month that we welcome him.
Okay. On Thursday?
What's that? Yes, absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
I've got another answer. So many times. All right.
Get up.
Musical chairs.
Your question was, how can I get my husband interested? And he's, okay. Many times, since my phone number's on the website, I get calls, a lot. And people have that same question, but it's not necessarily a husband, it's a son or a daughter or what have you. And I say, just tell them to call me. And many times we'll just meet with them. It's not a healing prayer session, right? We're just meeting, and then they see they're like, we're not crazy. And they're like, oh, well, maybe.
A little crazy.
We're all really crazy. But it's like anything. When you don't know anything, but when you start to know people, then you're like, okay, now I kind of know what I'm stepping into. And look at us. There are how many volunteers?
72.
There's 72 volunteers, none of us look alike. And all of us have different life experiences. I think we're like, I don't know, maybe 20 different denominations. We've all been trained, and we know we have a purpose from God, a mission from God, and we stay very true to that mission. Listen, love, pray. So.
Yeah, I wanted to say one more thing, because I was in your shoes. I thought, oh, my husband could really use this. So prayer, I prayed for it, and I sought God, and he answered my prayer. So, and now my husband is a healing prayer. And he's now just started, I think he's do some appointments. And stuff. He just prayed for me, and it was amazing. It was amazing. I want to add one more thing to that. Okay, so invite, the first Tuesday of the month is an in-person healing prayer service. And it is wonderful. And so I would recommend that as a start, right? Because it's different than a private prayer appointment, but there's healing in his midst, right?
Alrighty, anyone who has a Listen, Love, Pray shirt, please stand up, like on. That's what I meant, on. So look around, there's one, the Miracles Happen in back, there's Living Hope, Sherry has one, another Living Hope with Jane, we've got Listen, Love, Pray pink ones. Oh, Roxy has the Miracles Happen one on. This is Sherry, the Healing Love of Jesus. The two different colors.
Yes.
Candy has on this brand new one.
Yeah.
I have on this thing, this coat. Kristen.
I thought you were gonna give me one.
Kristen, I forgot to give one. And Ken and Ted have the sweatshirts on. We've been around 8 years. I happen to love t-shirts. So we have a lot of stuff, but you know what it is? It's a witness. It's not a witness to Listen, Love, Pray. It's a witness to Jesus. And very often people will say, what's that? So glad you asked. They asked. They asked, and we have so many great stories to tell, and so do all of you. If you're interested at all, they're the shirts in the back there, but these are new. This one, and that one. And it's on Seal Stitchery. It's a local person that we've known forever, Allison Sealfon. Just get on her site. There's a Listen, Love, Pray shop. You're welcome to get them if you want. All right, you ready for S-E-A-L, like the the animal. One last very quick question for Ted. Right in the middle, Ted.
We'll put Seal Stitchery on the newsletter too.
We'll put on the newsletter. That's a good idea. One, we don't know what they're going to ask you.
Oh, Ted's.
Come on, people. What do you want to ask Ted? Ted, why are you Listen, Love, Pray?
Short version.
Yes.
I was asked back in May of 2017 to join. I serve on the board of directors as the treasurer. I'm also the men's recovery ministry coordinator. Treasurer has all kinds of hats, taxes, and lots of money stuff that none of y'all want to hear about. But the biggest thing is I've had a lifelong struggle with addiction, and it's what God called me to do. And now I get to serve and meet with men 4 times a month and lead 3 different versions, actually 4 if you count the healing prayer. And it's also brought Judy and I closer together. So Judy's my wife. So our hope for many years was to serve in ministry together, and we're doing it. So, and it's changed my life big time.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for all your questions. If you have any more, you can ask us later anytime. So we're going to